Hey, what do you say? What do you know? It's the Already Clear Show. Is this loud enough? Here we go. We got the phone ringing already. Sorry, pal. Can't use you now. Get you on the show a long time ago, Don. What do you say? What do you know? It's the Already Clear Show here on Wi-Fi 1460. Tonight we have a wonderful show for you tonight. The lineup looks like this. You got Mark Pavlich, not the hockey player, but this gentleman is a MMA guy, and he does a lot of stuff with the MMA. So he'll be on our show. Nick Souquet, a former player from Penn State, safety. He'll be with us. Chris Thorne played for the Florida Gators, played in the NFL. He'll be with us. Zane Smith, the former pitcher from the Atlanta Braves, he'll be with us. Craig Ballard comes in. He's a talk show host. He's a real good guy. A lot of sports stuff, NBA, NFL, and the major leagues where a lot of trades are going on right now. And then you got Dan Pastorini, who come on at 6:45. Now, Dan has a great food line out there. It's www.dpqualityfoods.com. That's his website. And also Facebook, Dan at Dan Pastorini Facebook. You can get to him, and then Seth Jr. will join us from 7 to 8 o'clock tonight to talk about our wonderful Philadelphia Eagles. And what a beautiful display they put on Monday night against the Carolina Panthers. They showed you how a bad team can get worse. Here's a team that gave up 2 touchdowns, I call them ghost touchdowns because there was nobody in town. They were so wide open that I could have threw those footballs and made touchdowns out of that. Gary Barnes gets his first touchdown of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles. And also Gary LaBelle was wide open. He was like Moses splitting the sea. He was so wide open, and he went in there for a touchdown. They gave him the early lead, then Andy Reid went for 2 when he got a touchdown after a couple of field goals, made it 14-12. He missed. Then the Eagles hit a field goal at the end of the half. Took a 15-14 lead in there. Went down. Had a chance to come back. That Cano missed an extra point, or else they lost by 9. But every time they had a chance to come back, they did what they usually do this year. 3 fumbles, 3 turnovers, and another disappointing loss. Number 7 in a row in Philadelphia. Place was half empty at halftime, almost completely a ghost town before the game was over. Only 3/4 of the place filled up to start the game. And when's the last time in Philadelphia you've really seen that? When the Philadelphia Eagles would be on Monday Night Football and only 3/4 of the stadium would be filled. When the Philadelphia Eagles, who were definitely the leading candidate and the leading sports team in Philadelphia and admired by every Philadelphia fan, they bleed green around there. And they just won't fill up the stadium on a Monday Night Football against Cam Newton and company. Cam Newton's a pretty exciting quarterback, they say. He didn't look too excited to me, to be honest with you. And in fact, he missed a lot of throws in that game because the Eagles gave him some more points. They were so wide open and just missed the throw. But the Eagles are playing terrible football. Jason Bowden, bye, see you later. They waived him. He went to Jacksonville. He's another guy that's out. Michael Vick will not play this week against Dallas Sunday night. Nick Foles will be your quarterback with 15 for 21, about 125 yards. Could have thrown 3 or 4 interceptions easily in that game. So he'll start against Dallas. Dallas is going to get him a gimme win. They'll get to 6-6 as the Eagles will go to 3-9. Then you got the Giants, who played some really good football against the Packers. They won. They established themselves as the best team in the East in that conference. You got the San Francisco 49ers with Colin Kaepernick. He'll be your starter along with Alex Smith, who's as healthy as could be. But Harbaugh has put Kaepernick as their starting quarterback. And I want to go back to, if Kaepernick is their starting quarterback and Alex Smith is healthy, it's almost like the Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe type of thing, where when Drew came back, he was healthy, and still Belichick went with the hot hand, which was Tom Brady. So you're not supposed to lose your job to concussion or to injuries, but if the other guy's playing better than you, and the coach can see in hindsight that he's the guy for the job, and you're not going to get your job back, well, then they'll do what they did with Drew Bledsoe. They'll trade him. Now, he threw a big signing bonus at the end of the year, Alex Smith, about $7.5 million. They could keep him. It might be more than that. Might be like $15 million. I'm 100% sure, but it's a gigantic millions of dollars he's going to get, or cut him, or trade him. Now, there's a lot of teams that would love to have a quarterback like Alex Smith, who was the #1 player pick when he was drafted by the 49ers, in camp as their quarterback. As a backup quarterback, it's absolutely ideal for the 49ers. I'm sure the Chicago Bears would love to have Alex Smith as a backup versus Jason Campbell. But I'm sure that Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a backup, who signed John Hoyer, who was just basically working in a delicatessen, they could definitely, he would start for them in a heartbeat for Pittsburgh and save their season. Because if Roethlisberger doesn't come back this week and they play the Ravens and go 6-6, he can flush that season and go down the toilet. And when's the last time you can say that about Pittsburgh? They needed a backup quarterback. They can get one next year in Alex Smith. Because he's going to be a free agent. They're definitely going to let him go because they don't want to give him that big signing bonus. Plus Kaepernick seems like he has a better arm. Seems like he can extend the play more. Seems like he's a better runner with the ball. He makes good decisions. He's indecisive for the defense to really look at what he's doing because they don't know if he's going to run or throw it. They put that option play from college into the pros. Griffin uses that. Now Kaepernick is using that. Tebow, when I throw his name in there, I shouldn't because he never plays, but he uses that as an install to the Jets offense, and they're terrible, the Jets, by the way. Marvin Jones, I'm sorry, the Jets think. And that's the way it goes. But that's coming back into football, and Cam Newton does it out in Carolina. Michael Vick could be doing that in Philadelphia if he would get over his concussion. So I think the NFL is changing a little bit when it comes to the quarterback. They're starting to like this running quarterback, the option play with the quarterback, sticking the ball in the belly and leaving it there or taking it out and running himself. Kaepernick does that really well. And Jim Harbaugh, it's a tough decision, especially him being a former quarterback, knowing that, hey, he's called Captain Comeback. Why is he called Captain Comeback? Because he's coming off the bench. He's not the starting quarterback, and he can bring you back into a game. And maybe that's what he thinks about Alex Smith. If Kaepernick doesn't go so good and they're losing, you can always go to a relief pitcher in Alex Smith. He said they're both number one, they're both starting quarterbacks, but you can only start one. And he went Colin Kaepernick as his starter against the Rams this week. But does have a healthy Alex Smith in the bullpen, ready to go, and that's a great situation to have. Tough decision to make, but what a great situation because you have two quarterbacks that potentially could take you to the Super Bowl, and they're both on the same team, and they both know your offense. So it's a really tough decision, but it's one that I'm sure a lot of NFL teams would love to have, especially the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because that team, with Troy Polamalu coming back, have a chance to go to the playoffs. And we all know when you go to the playoffs, it's 0-0. Your records are clean. Look at the New York Giants last year, 9-7. They went on the road. They won the whole shebang. So when you have and you're in the playoffs, it doesn't matter what your record was during the season. You're in the playoffs, and everyone starts at 0. And if Pittsburgh had a quarterback that can get them to the playoffs until Roethlisberger is healthy, and that could have been Alex Smith or another quarterback, then I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers could be as dangerous as any team in football, especially with Troy Polamalu coming back. He comes back and he stays healthy, and you get a healthy Ben Roethlisberger out there, they're as good as any football team in all of football. I promise you that. Joni, thanks so much for doing the video today here on the Artie Clear Show, Wi-Fi 1460. If you like, www.theartieclearshow.com is where you can see my YouTube stuff, where you can tune into the show, where you can see our podcast. All the time, you can go to our site, www.theartieclearshow.com, and you can always get our previous shows, our show going on, or listen live. Just go to our site, and you can see there's a lot of great things up there. The Olympians are up there. What else is up there? Let me take a look. I'll put the glasses on for a second. We'll take a look at the website for a second and see what's up there. You got Seth Joyner's pictures up there. He comes on 7-8, which is tonight. Chris Dahlman comes on from 6 to 6:30 Tuesday night. Mike North from Chicago, North to North, does Fox. I do Fox with Mike also. He comes on Friday night between 7 and 8. So we got a lot of